So Kieran and Gemma set themselves a monthly electricity allowance. Kieran sets himself 42 and Gemma set herself 49. At the end of July, their smart meter recorded that he used 15 and she used 21. Who used a greater proportion of their allowance? Okay, so we've got Kieran and I've got Gemma. So Kieran has spent 15 out of £42. Gemma has spent 21 out of 49. So this is why we like things in percentages, because out of 100, it's all the same. Yeah, it's an easy comparison. Right now, we've got out of 42 out of 49, much tougher comparison. We need these to be the same. So we're thinking, well, what can I divide the top and bottom by so we get a nice even fraction? So it's looking as if these are in the 7 times table, aren't they? So if I divide the top and bottom by, I could try 3 as well. So they're in the 7, they're in the 3. I'll try dividing this by 3, and we'll see what we get down to. So 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 42 divided by 3 is 14. So that's me dividing by 3. And you know that 42 divides by 3 because any number that the sum of the digits add up to a number in the 3 times table, that will then divide by 3. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. That will then divide by 3 because 3 divides by 3. If I had, 1, 2, 4, 2, I know that divides by 3 because that's 3 plus 4, 7 plus 2 is 9. So 9's in the 3 times table. So that'll divide by 3. So yeah. So I know this one doesn't divide by 3, but I know the top and bottom divide by 7. So I can simplify that. So 12 divided by 7 is 3, and 49 divided by 7 is 7. Okay, nice one. So then all I need to do is times that by 2. So that'll give me 6 over 14. So I'm comparing 5 14s and 6 14s. So who used a greater proportion of their allowance? Well, 6 over 14 is Gemma. Used a greater proportion. Yeah, Gemma used greater proportion, as 6 over 14 is greater than 5 over 14. Again, apologies for the handwriting. Really is quite bad today, actually. So you're trying to get a common denominator there. Yeah, quite tricky numbers with that one. You can just play about with it and see what works. But if you started to reduce, you would have spotted, all right, 7 and 14s. But going up the way the numbers get bigger, they get more difficult. So you should be thinking, coming down the way. But that's quite hard because that's an odd number, and you're thinking, odd and even, how would that work? So yeah, get the question, get the numbers at the question, and then it's just simplified fractions for that one. Okay, so let's see when Joe left home. So again, let's do a little 4 marks for this as well. Big. So let's have a look. So he's travelled to London. He's trying to get to London, and he's travelling from his home, and he's going by car. Okay, nice one. He arrived at his meeting at 11:45. Okay, so he must have arrived at London at 11:45, and he travelled 220 miles at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. And he stopped for half an hour for breakfast. Quite right. A little 30 minutes for breakfast. There's break rather than breakfast, but you know what I mean. So, we've got our breakfast part of the day, and we've got our journey. So we're trying to find out the time that he left. So we're working back the way. Yeah. So the first thing to do is going to be work out this bit here. So you should be thinking to yourself, speed equals distance divided by time. So my distance is 220, and my speed is 50, because I rearrange that to give me distance over speed is equal to time. Now, if you don't like equations, you can just think to yourself, well, what does that mean? So I get 220 miles. You can actually draw it out, can't you? There's 220 miles. I'm doing 50 miles an hour. So there's, 50 miles. There's 100 miles, 150, 200 miles. So that's 4 hours so far. And then there's this other little 20 in here, isn't there? So it's working out this last little bit, which is the tricky bit. Okay, but you can visualize what's going on. He's doing 50, 50, 50, 50, and then he's doing, 20 out of 50. That's like how long that bit's going to take. But I just prefer to do distance divided by speed. So for this, I'm going to cancel out my zeros. So I'm saying I've got 22 divided by 5. So 22, I'll just do 0.00 divided by 5. 5 into 2 doesn't go. 4, carry the 2. 5 into 20 is 4. So that's 4.4 hours for that. Okay, so 4 hours. And what's 0.4 of an hour? I'm going to call that 4/10 of an hour. Yeah, because that's in decimal term. So 0.4 is 4 tenths. So 4/10 of an hour. So that means a tenth of an hour. This over here, 1/10 of an hour is going to be 6 minutes because I'm dividing it by 10. Yeah, because 1 hour is 60 minutes. So a tenth is going to be 6 minutes. So 4/10 of an hour is going to be 24. Okay, 24 minutes. So that's 4 hours and 24 minutes. 4 hours and 24 minutes, yep. Very good. And we knew the break was 30, and that was our original time. So we're just going to work back the way. I think I'll add these together to begin with. So I've got 4. That's going to be 54, isn't it? So I'm going to say that I've got my time of 11:45, and I'm going to take away 4 hours, and then I'll take away my 54 minutes. So take away 4 hours. That'll give me 7:45. And then I think I'll take away 45 minutes to get me to 7. So I'll take away 45. And then I still need to take off another little, what's that, 9 minutes? And then take away 9. So that's going to give me 6:51 if I take away the 9. So 6:51. Let me just check the marking scheme, see where we're getting our marks for that. So you're getting a mark for, just 1 mark, which is a shame for this whole bit here, speed, distance, time. In fact, no, you're getting 2 marks for that because you got a mark for turning that in as well. So very good, 2 marks for that. And you then get a mark for adding together these 2 times to get your 4 hours, to work out this bit in here, mark for that, and then just your final process. So, quite a big question that actually. Again, the diagram I think was really helpful. The speed, distance, time, I think the best thing to do is, learn your little triangle. I'm sure someone has shown you this triangle where it's speed, distance, time. And if you just cover up the thing you're looking for, then the answer appears. So I was looking there for time. So if I was to cover up time, so I say I don't want time, you see that's distance over speed. So every time you cover something up, it shows you the solution. So that's what I would do personally. Some people work with the bar models, but you can roughly in your head say it was going to be 4 hours and a bit. And if it was nicer numbers, you might have said, well, I can do that. And actually here, if you just cancel the zeros, 2/5 comes out as 0.4. So you can do it that way, but I prefer this. I think this works nice when it's nice numbers. So that's something to look for. And then really once you got through this, it's quite a straightforward question. 2 marks in here, speed, distance, time. But that you then had to feed into your kind of, right, where was I going and taking away. So just take your time with the process. And I think for this, get your speed, distance, time sorted out. Get your decimal time out. It looks really complicated, 0.4 of an hour. But when you just remember that that's 4/10, that's not too bad then, is it? If it was 0.25, that'd be a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes. That makes sense, So just watch out for those. And yeah, well, there we go. That's the end of the paper. So I did everything but the scale drawing. I hope that was helpful. There's a few videos with certain topics, just topics covered. You can have a look at those as well. I hope now you've seen the way it's done. It gives you a bit of a model on how to base your answers, because the maths isn't particularly confusing. I'm sure you look at that and think, I could do this. It's just getting into the question, it's just figuring out, well, what's it asking me, and a lot of the things coming up, percentages, fractions, decimals, for my money, this was probably the hardest one, just visualizing what was going on and getting all the times out. And again, when you come into the exam, you maybe leave that to the last. If you think, well, there's a lot in that, I'll just leave that. Have a strategy, get what's good for you. Down, for example, this one, some very easy marks, I thought, very quickly done. But yeah, make sure you're strong on percentages, make sure you're strong on fractions, make sure you're laying out your working, and there's some good marks to be had. So yeah, hope that was helpful.